So, yeah, so I just want to tell you today the reader is Shruti. So, if you have any doubts in the word she's using, if you have any doubt in the words, in the concept she's speaking about, you just stop and ask us. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Shruti, you may start.
Okay, ma'am. Can I start? Hello?
Jayant, I'll just put the PDF in the group for you. You just give me a second, Shruti. I'll just share the book with him.
Okay, okay, ma'am.
Just a second. Just have some, just a little patience, Shruti. Just a second. I'm sharing the. Uh, Jayant, I shared it in the group, which we have for you, special group. I shared it in the group. It's page number 42.
Okay.
Okay, please open it.
Ma'am, it's page number 49.
Oh,
The other end of the stick. You
wait, wait.
just send it in the group now. So it's
Yeah, yeah,
page number
it's
40.
49. Okay, the thing is, I have downloaded it on my iPad, so it's a different this thing in the iPad.
Okay, okay. But in mine, it's showing page number 49. That's why I just confirmed.
No, no, please, 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 because we have to make sure. So it's page number 49, Jayant.
The
Okay.
other end of the stick.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so okay, Jen. So I will begin now.
Okay.
The other end of the stick. Before we totally shift our life focus to our circle of influence, we need to consider two things in our circle of concern that merit deeper thought: consequences and mistakes. While we are free to choose our actions, we are not free to choose the consequences of those actions. Consequences are governed by natural law. They are out in the circle of concern. We can decide to step in front of a fast moving train, but we cannot decide what will happen when the train hits us. We can decide to be dishonest in our business dealings, while the social consequences of that decision may vary depending on whether or not we are found out. The natural consequences to our basic character are a fixed result. Our behavior is governed by principles. Living in harmony with them brings positive consequences, violating them brings negative consequences. We are free to choose our response in any situation, but in doing so, we choose the attendant consequence. When we pick up one end of the stick, we pick up the other. Undoubtedly, there have been times in each of our lives when we have picked up what we have felt was the wrong stick. Our choices have brought consequences we would rather have lived without. If we had the choice to make over again, we would make it differently. We call these choices mistakes, and they are the second thing that merits our deeper thought. For those filled with regret, perhaps the most needful exercise of proactivity is it to realize that past mistakes are also out there in the circle of concern. We can't recall them, we can't undo them, we can't control the consequences that came as a result. As a college quarterback, one of my sons learned to snap his first band between plays as a kind of a mental check-off whenever he or anyone made a setting back mistake. So the last mistake wouldn't affect the resolve and execution of the next play. The proactive approach to a mistake is to acknowledge it instantly, correct it, and learn from it. This literally turns a failure into a success. Success, said IBM founder TJ Watson, is on the far side of failure. But not to acknowledge a mistake, not to correct it and learn from it, is a mistake of different order. It usually puts a person on a self deceiving, self justifying path, often involving rational lies to self and to others. This second mistake, this cover up, empowers the first, giving it disproportionate importance and causes far deeper injury to self. It is not what others do or even our own mistakes that hurts the most. It is our response to those things. Chasing after the poisonous snake that bites us will only drive the poison through our entire system. It is far better to take measures immediately to get the poison out. Our response to any mistake affects the quality of the next moment. It is important to immediately admit and correct our mistakes so that they have no power over that next moment and we are empowered again. Jayant,
Yes, ma'am.
so what did you understood? Have you understood anything from what I've read it?
Jayant. Jayant. Okay, even Argadeep has come. Okay. Good evening, Argadeep.
Good evening, ma'am.
Thank you. Shruti, Argadeep is another intern who will be reading probably tomorrow or day after, whenever he's free, rather.
Okay.
Yeah. So he's not listening. So, Jayant, what did you
Yes,
understand?
ma'am.
Shruti just read. Do you want?
The passage about the importance of understanding consequences
Yes.
and mistakes.
Yes. Good. Good.
We are not free to choose the consequences which are
Yes.
governed by natural laws.
Yes. And do you agree with what he says?
Yes.
Good. Yeah. Shalom. Go to the next one, Shruti.
Okay. Okay, ma'am. Making and keeping commitments. At the very heart of our circle of influence is our ability to make and keep commitments and promises. The commitments we make to ourselves and to others, and our integrity to those commitments, is the essence and clearest manifestation of our proactivity. It is also the essence of our growth. Through our human endowments of self awareness and conscience, we became conscious of areas of weakness, areas for improvement, areas of talent that could be developed, areas that need to be changed or eliminated from our lives. Then, as we recognize and use our imagination and independent will act on that awareness, making promises setting goals, and being true to them, we build the strength of character, the being that makes possible even every other positive thing in our lives. It is here that we find two ways to put ourselves in control of our lives immediately. We can make a promise and keep it, or we can set a goal and work to achieve it. As we make and keep commitments, even small commitments, we begin to establish an inner integrity that gives us the awareness of self control and the courage and strength to accept more of the responsibility for our own lives. By making and keeping promises to ourselves and others, little by little, our honor becomes greater than our moves. The power to make and keep commitments to ourselves is the essence of developing the basic habit of effectiveness. Knowledge, skill, and desire are all within our control. We can work on any one to improve the balance of the three. As the area of intersection becomes larger, we more deeply internalize the principles upon which the habits are based and create the strength of a character to move us in a balanced way toward increasing effectiveness in our lives. So, Jayan, what did you understood from this paragraph?
Ma'am, it's about commitments and staying true to the promises.
Shruti, you don't have to stop after every paragraph. You can do it after a couple of paragraphs also. Okay?
Okay, okay, ma'am.
Yeah?
After this, I'll continue to read 2 to 3 paragraphs in a go.
Yes, yes.
Okay, Jen, good.
Yes, ma'am.
Can I start the next paragraph, ma'am?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Okay. Proactivity, the 30-day test. We don't have to go through the death camp experience of Frankel to recognize and develop our own proactivity. It is in the ordinary events of every day that we develop the proactive capacity to handle the extraordinary pressures of life. It's how we make and keep commitments, how we handle a traffic jam, how we respond to an irate customer or a disobedient child. It's how we view our problems and where we focus our energies. It's the language we use. I would challenge you to test the principle of proactivity for 30 days. Simple try and see what happens for 30 days. Work only in your circle of influence. Make small commitments and keep them. Be a light, not a judge. Be a model, not a critic. Be part of the solution, not part of the problem. Try it in your marriage, in your family, in your job. Don't argue for other people's weaknesses. Don't argue for your own. When you make a mistake, admit it, correct it, and learn from it immediately. Don't get into blaming, accusing mode. Works on things you have control over. Work on you, on you. Look at the weaknesses of others with compassion, not accusation. It's only what they are not doing or should be doing that's the issue. The issue is your own chosen response to the situation and what you should be doing. If you start to think the problem is out there, stop yourself. That thought is the problem. People who exercise their embryonic freedom day after day will little by little expand that freedom. People who do not will find that it withers until they are literally being lived. They are acting out the scripts written by parents, associates, and society. We are responsible for our own effectiveness, for our own happiness, and ultimately, I would say, for most of our circumstances. Samuel Johnson observed, the fountain of content must spring up in the mind, and he who had so little knowledge of human nature as to seek happiness by changing anything but his own disposition will waste his life in fruitless efforts, and multiply the grief he proposes to remove. Knowing that we are responsible is fundamental to effectiveness and to every other habit of effectiveness we will discuss. Application suggestions. First, for a full day, listen to your language and to the language of other people around you. How often do you use and hear reactive phrases such as if only, I can't, or I have to? Second, identify an experience you might encounter in the near future where, based on past experience, you would probably behave reactively. Review the situation in the context of your circle of influence. How could you respond proactively? Take several moments and create the experience vividly in your mind, picturing yourself responding in a proactive manner. Remind yourself of the gap between stimulus and response. Make a commitment to yourself to exercise your freedom to choose. Third, select a problem from your work or personal life that is frustrating you. Determine whether it is a direct, indirect, or no control problem. Identify the first step you can take in your circle of influence to solve it, and then take that step. Fourth, try the 30-day test of proactivity. Be aware of the change in your circle of influence. Jayan, what did you understood from this? Hello,
Yes, ma'am.
am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so what did you understood like
Like
from this?
proactivity isn't developed in some situations, but in everyday actions, we respond to challenges, like interact with others and keep our commitments. And the 30-day test encourages focusing on what we can control.
Okay, good.
Yes.
Yes. Ma'am, can I continue now?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Yeah. Okay, so now we'll begin with habit 2. Begin with the end in mind, TM. What lies behind us and what lies before us are tiny matters compared to what lies within us. Oliver Wendell Holmes. Please find a place to read this next few pages where you can be alone and uninterrupted. Clear your mind of everything except what you will read and what I will invite you to do. Don't worry about your schedule, your business, your family, or your friends. Just focus with me and really open your mind. In your mind's eyes, see yourself going to the funeral parlor or chapel, parking the car and getting out. As you walk inside the building, you notice the flowers, the soft organ music. You see the faces of friends and family you pass along the way. You feel the shared sorrow of losing, the joy of having known that radiates from the hearts of the people there. As you walk down to the front of the room and look inside the casket, you suddenly come face to face with yourself. This is your funeral 3 years from today. All these people have come to honor you, to express feelings of love and appreciation of your life for your life. As you take a seat and wait for the services to begin, you look at the program in your hand. There are to be four speakers. The first one is from your family, immediate and also extended, children, brothers, sisters, nephews, nieces, aunts, uncles, cousins, and grandparents who have come from all over the country to attend. The second speaker is one of your friends, someone who can give a sense of what you are as a person. The third speaker is from your work or profession. And the fourth is from your church or some community organization where you have been involved in a service. Now think deeply. What would you like each of the speakers to say about you and your life? What kind of husband, wife, father, or mother would you like their words to reflect? What kind of son or daughter or cousin? What kind of friend? What kind of working associate? What character would you like them to have seen in you? What contributes? What contributions, what achievements would you want them to remember? Look carefully at the people around you. What difference would you like to have made in their lives? Before you read further, take a few minutes to jot down your impressions. It will greatly increase your personal understanding of habit too. Ma'am, can I read further or just
Yeah, read further, read further.
okay. What it means to begin with the end in mind. If you participated seriously in this visualization experience, you touched for a moment some of your deep fundamental values. You establish brief contact with that inner guidance system at the heart of your circle of influence. Consider the words of Joseph Addison. When I look upon the tombs of the great, every emotions of envy dies in me. When I read the epitaphs of the beautiful, every inordinate desires goes out. When I meet with the grief of the parents upon a tombstone, my heart melts with compassion. When I see the tomb of the parents themselves, I consider the vanity of grieving for those whom we must quickly follow. When I see kings lying by those who deposed them, I consider rivals with placed side by side, or the holy men that divided the world with their contents and disputes. I reflect with the sorrow and astonishment on the little competitions, factions, and debates of mankind. When I read the several dates of tombs of some that died yesterday and some 600 years ago, I consider that great day when we shall all of us be contemporaries and make our appearance together. Although habit 2 applies to many different circumstances and levels of life, the most fundamental application of begin with the end in mind is to begin today with the image, picture, or paradigm, paradigm of the end of your life as your frame of reference or the criterion by which everything else is examined. Each part of your life, today's behavior, tomorrow's behavior, next week's behavior, next month's behavior, can be examined in the context of the whole of what really matters most to you. By keeping that end clearly in mind, you can make certain that whatever you do on a particular day does not violate the criteria you have defined as supremely important, and that each day of your life contributes in a meaningful way to the vision you have of your life as a whole. To begin with the end in mind means to start with a clear understanding of your destination. It means to know where you are going so that you better understand where you are now, and so that the steps you take are always in the right direction. It's incredibly easy to get caught up in an activity trap in the busyness of life, to work harder and harder at climbing the ladder of success, only to discover it's leaning against the wrong wall. It is possible to be busy, very busy, without being very effective. People often find themselves achieving victories that are empty, successes that have come at the expenses of things they suddenly realize were far more valuable to them. People from very walk of life, doctors, academicians, actors, politicians, business professionals, athletes, and plumbers often struggle to achieve a higher income, more recognition, or a certain degree of professional competence, only to find that their drive to achieve their goal blinded them to the things that really mattered most and now are gone. How different our lives are when we really know what is deeply important to us and keeping that picture in mind. We manage ourselves each day to be and to do what really matters most. If the ladder is not leaning against the right wall, every step we just take get us to the wrong place faster. We may be very busy, we may be very efficient, but we also be truly effective only when we begin with the end in mind. If you carefully consider what you wanted to be said of you in the funeral experience, you will find your definition of success. It may be very different and from the definition you thought you had in mind. Achievement, money, or some of the other things we strive for are not even part of the right wall. When you begin with the end in mind, you gain a different perspective. One man asked another on the death of a mutual friend, how much did he leave? His friend responded, he left it all. So, Jayan, what did you understood from this till now?
Yes, ma'am.
Uh, can you tell me what did you understood?
In the last one or the previous one, ma'am?
Whatever you understood, Jayant, it doesn't matter.
Whatever you understood. Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
yeah.
Mm, yes, success without meaning can feel empty. Uh, can feel empty, and
Yes.
keeping your personal definition of success in mind helps us avoiding wasting of time.
Okay.
Mm, everyday's action should align you in a long-term values and purpose.
Yes.
This habit encourages us to guide current behavior and decisions to a reference point.
Hmm. Okay.
Very good.
That's it, ma'am.
Okay. Very nice. I'll read further now.
Yeah, yeah, please go ahead.
All things are created twice. Begin with the end in mind is based on the principle that all things are created twice. There's a mental of first creation and a physical or second creation to all things. Take the construction of a home, for example. You create it in every detail before you ever hammer the first nail into place. You try to get a very clear sense of what kind of house you want. If you want a family centered home, you plan a family room where it would be a natural gathering place. You plan sliding doors and a patio for children to play outside. You work with ideas. You work with your mind until you get a clear image of what you want to build. Then you reduce it to a blueprint and develop construction plans. All of this is done before the earth is touched. If not, then in the second creation, the physical creation, you will have to make expensive changes that may double the cost of your home. The carpenter's rule is measure twice, cut once. You have to make sure that the blueprint, the first creation, is really what you want, that you have thought everything through. Then you put it into bricks and mortar. Each day you go to the construction shed and pull out the blueprint to get marching orders of the for the day. You begin with end in mind. For another example, look at a business. If you want to have a successful enterprise, you clearly define what you're trying to accomplish. You carefully think through the product or service you want to provide in terms of your market target. Then you organize all the elements: financial, research and development, operations, marketing, personal, physical, facilities, and so on to meet that objective. The extent to which you begin with the end in mind often determines whether or not you are able to create a successful enterprise. Most business failures begin in the first creation with a problem such as undercapitalization, misunderstanding of the market, or lack of a business plan. The same is true with parenting. If you want to raise a responsible, self disciplined children, you have to keep that and clearly in mind as you interact with your children on a daily basis. You can't behave toward them in ways that undermine their self discipline or self esteem. To varying degrees, people use this principle in many different areas of life. Before you go on a trip, you determine your destination and plan out the best route. Before you plant a garden, you plan it out in your mind, possibly on paper. You create speeches on paper before you give them. You envision the landscaping in your yard before you landscape it. You design the clothes you make before you thread the needle. To the extent to which we understand the principle of two creations and accept the responsibility for both, we act within and enlarge the borders of our circle of influence. To the extent to which we do not operate in harmony with this principle and take charge of the first creation, we diminish it by design or default. It's a principle that all things we created twice, but not all first creations are by conscious design. In our personal lives, if we do not develop our own self awareness and become responsible for first creations, we empower other we empower other people and circumstances outside our circle or influence to shape much of our lives by default. We reactively live the scripts handed to us by family, associates, other people's agendas, the pressure of circumstances, scripts from our earlier years, from our training or our conditioning. These scripts come from people, not principles, and they rise out to our deep vulnerabilities, our deep dependency on others, and our need for acceptance and love, for belonging, for a sense of importance and worth, for a feeling that we matter. Whether we are aware of it or not, whether we are in control of it or not, there is a first creation to every part of our lives. We are either the second creation of our own proactive past habits. The unique human capacities of self awareness, imagination, and concise and enable us to examine first creations and make it possible for us to take charge of our own first creation, to write our own script. Put another way, habit 1 says you are the creator, habit 2 is the first creation. So, Jayant, tell me, what did you understood from this?
What did you understand from this?
Yes, what did you
Yes.
understand from this?
Mm, all things are created twice. First in our minds and then in reality. No, and not all first creations are by conscious design. Mm,
Okay.
We may unknowingly follow scripts from family, society, or past conditioning based on their pressures and
Do you
success in business starts with clear planning and including defining goals, market strategy, and necessary resources.
okay?
That's it.
Yes.
Very good.
So, okay, so he told his view. Argdeep, what do you suggest? What do you think? Argdeep, are you there? He left. Okay, we have another few minutes, Shruti. So why don't
Okay.
you read for a little while? Okay, Argdeep is not connected to this thing. I don't know for whatever reason. Um, what you do is just read for another few minutes, and then we have another discussion and close it. Okay?
Okay, ma'am.
Thank you.
Leadership and management, the two creations. Habit 2 is based on principles of personal leadership, which means that leadership is the first creation. Leadership is not management. Management is the second creation, which we'll discuss in the chapter on habit 3, but leadership has to come first. Management is a bottom line focus. How can I best accomplish certain things? Leadership deals with the top line. What are the things I want to accomplish? In the words of both Peter Drucker and Warren Bennis, management is doing things right. Leadership is doing the right things. Management is efficiency in climbing the ladder of success. Leadership determines whether the ladder is leaning against the right wall. You can quickly grasp the important difference between the two if you envision a group of producers cutting their way through the jungle with machetes. They are the producers,
Mashity.
machetes. Okay, they are the
Mashity.
okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
They are they are the producers, the problem solvers. They are cutting through the undergrowth, clearing it out. The managers are behind them, sharpening the machetes, right, writing policy and procedure manuals, holding muscle development programs, bringing in improved technologies, and setting up working schedules and compensation programs for matched uh, wielders. The leader is the one who climbs the tallest tree, surveys the entire situation, and yells, "Wrong jungle." But how do you the sorry? But how do the busy, efficient producers and managers often respond? Shut up. We are making progress. As individuals, groups, and businesses, we are often so busy cutting through the undergrowth, we didn't even realize we are in the wrong jungle. And the rapidly changing environment in which we live makes effective leadership more critical than it has ever been in every aspect of independent and interdependent life. We are more in need of vision or designation and a compass, a set of principles or directions, and less in a need of a roadmap. We often don't know what the terrain ahead will be like or what will we need to go through it. Much will depend on our judgment and the time. But an inner compass will always give us direction. Effectiveness, often even survival, does not depend solely on how much effort we expend, but on whether or not the effort we spend is in the right jungle. And the metamorphosis taking place in most every industry and profession demands leadership first and management second. In business, the market is changing so rapidly that many products and services that successfully met consumer tastes that need a few years ago are obs- obsolete today.
Obsolete.
Proactive, sorry, ma'am,
Obsolete.
obsolete. Okay, obsolete today. Proactive, powerful leadership must constantly monitor environmental change, particularly consumer buying habits and motives, and provide the force necessary to organize resources in the right direction. Such changes as deregulation of the airline industry, skyrocketing costs of healthcare, and the great quality and quantity of imported cars impact the environment in significant ways. If industries do not monitor the environment, including their own work teams, and exercise the creative leadership to keep headed in the right direction, no amount of management expertise can keep them from failing. Efficient management without effective leadership is, as one individual phrased it, like straightening deck chairs on the Titanic. No management success can compensate for failure in leadership, but is hard because we are often caught in a management paradigm. At the final session of a year-long executive development program in Seattle, what
Seattle.
Seattle,
Mm.
the president of an oil company came up to me and said, "Stephen, when you pointed out the difference between leadership and management in the second month, I looked at my role as the president of this company and realized that I have never been into leadership. I was deep into management, worried by pressing challenges and the details of day to day logistics. So I decided to withdraw from management. I could get other people to do that. I wanted to really lead my organization. It was hard. I went through withdrawal pains because I stopped dealing with a lot of pressing, urgent matters that were right in front of me and which gave me a sense of immediate accomplishment. I didn't realize, no, I didn't receive much satisfaction as I started wrestling with the direction issues, the culture building issues, the deep analysis of problems, the seizing of new opportunities. Others also went through withdrawal pains from the working style comfort zones. They missed the easy accessibility I had given them before. They still wanted me to available in them to respond to help solve their problems on a day-to-day basis. But I persisted. I was absolutely convinced that I needed to provide leadership, and I did. Today, our whole business is different. We are more in line with the environment. We have doubled our revenues and quad, quad, quadrup, quadrupled our profits,
Quadrupled.
quadrupled our profits. I'm into leadership. I am convinced that too often parents are also trapped in the management paradigm, thinking of control, efficiency, and rules instead of direction, purpose, and family feeling. And leadership is even more lacking in our personal lives. We are into managing with efficiency, setting, and achieving goals before we have even clarified our values.
Yeah, you can
Jayan,
stop. We can stop and you can start discussing.
okay.
Mm.
So Jayan, tell me, what did you understood from
The
this?
passage is about like difference between leadership and management. Leadership is the first creation and management is second creation. Leadership is about defining what needs to be done. Management involves focusing on how to achieve goals efficiently.
Can you explain the difference, Jayant?
Yes, ma'am, I'm explaining that.
No, no, you're just reading it out. I want you to explain in your words.
I'm seeing in my words. Okay. Mm, Leadership is crucial in changing environment.
Okay.
Uh, Leadership is key success in moving in a right direction.
Okay.
Mm, Leadership was difficult.
Okay. No. So,
Leadership will lead to long term. Good leadership will lead to long term success.
okay.
Mm, and mm, about management. Through
Okay.
a management we can managing we can achieve our goals.
Okay, so let me explain it. Okay,
Yes.
I have another 5 minutes. So what he's saying is, many a time we don't know where we are going, right? That's the whole point. What he was trying to tell. We're just so busy doing things what we thought has to be done. We don't even realize where we are going. Okay.
Okay.
One second. I will just read it out again. 1 second, please. Let me look at mine. Okay. Trading data application situations. I have it to begin with the end in mind. TM. Okay. 1 second, please. Let me just read this. Okay. So what he's saying is leadership is the first creation, right?
Hmm.
Management is the second creation. So you have to be a leader in your head first, right? Then you have to plan what the leadership is.
Hmm.
Okay. And then you should put it into practice. Practice. Okay. Does not depend solely on how much effort we expend, but on whether or not the effort we expend is in the right jungle. Okay. Okay. Hmm. Hmm. Okay. So, um, okay. So what he's saying is there are two things you have to look at. One is direction, purpose, and a feeling of togetherness, right?
Yes.
Paired to thinking of control, efficiency, and rules. We think control, efficiency, and rules are what define our family. So he's saying compared to the business to family, he said even in families, we get stuck in making sure everything works efficiently. We forget, okay, we are trying to so I'm trying to make my son a reader, say making you a reader. So what does your parent do? She or he will sit with you with a book
Yes.
instead of telling you, Jayant, read today, read this much today. If they tell you that, how much will you listen? You listen only when you want to, right?
Hmm. Yes.
So that's exactly what he's saying is we get so busy in this in making the rules, we forget the whole point and why we are making the rules.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh.
Okay then. Sandhya, I think the time is up. We can close the meeting.
Yeah.
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 So thank you, Jayant, for coming. Thank you, Shruti. And
Thank you
we
so
will
much, ma'am.
thank you. And we will have Vineet sir tomorrow, Jayant. You really
Okay.
attend his class. He's he'll explain things beautifully. Okay. Shruti,
And
you did
what
a
are the timings?
same time, same time. Every day
Okay.
book reading is the same time.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. Yes.
Okay.
Job, Shruti. Okay,
Thank you,
Shruti.
ma'am. Thank you for helping me out.
Arey yaar, I told you what I'm there is basically for this, right? Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Yes. Thank you. So have a good night, both of you. Thank you.
Thank
Good
you,
night,
ma'am.
ma'am. Take care.
Good